Liftoff. We have a liftoff. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. I am Douglas Bruce, along with my co-host and wingman extraordinaire, Big Mike Fisher. Big Mike, how the hell are you, buddy?
Doing great. Another glorious day here in Cebu.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure. It's a beautiful day. We're up here on the on the rooftop of the Sky Deck 360 bar and restaurant here in Grand Residence Hotel. And condos, the place that we actually reside, myself and April. April is our producer, who will be sitting in on the side over there, pushing all the bells and whistles and buttons and keeping me and Big Mike in line. Cover a little bit of business here to get out of the way real quick. Big Mike, we're doing an episode, things to consider before visiting the Philippines, and so we've got a whole list of things for you guys. We'll get into that in just a minute. I want to mention you can find us on YouTube, and I'm having to use my cheat notes here because this is all brand new. It's a brand new show. We're just getting started with this. Now, you and Big Mike, you and I hosted a podcast for 5 years together called Top Spur. Some of the audience may remember us from that, but we switched over and took about a 6-month sabbatical, took a break, and come back stronger than ever here with Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. Excited about doing this. Are you pumped up about this new format that we're using and everything?
Yeah, it's taken a little bit of getting our feet moving on it.
Yeah.
We've kind of been dragging our feet, not wanting to rush into it, but yeah, I'm ready to get this going.
Well, it's
a lot of information that we have just sitting around.
It is absolutely, and it's harder to do a podcast than a lot of people think, especially when you do them live and you do them weekly.
The way we do them.
The way we do them.
We don't mess around.
Yeah. So it takes quite a bit. There's people behind the scenes, and it's not just walking up and sitting down and talking for an hour. There's a lot more goes into it than that, especially if you're going to provide people with good information and that sort of thing, which we want to do. Now, this podcast is about anything and everything, and we'll talk about that a little more in the upcoming stuff. But today we're discussing about visiting to Cebu or visiting to the Philippines. If you've ever wanted to come here, that's probably was our number one question on the old podcast. Sure. People are always curious about living, even though the podcast was about raising game fowl. We got a ton of questions about, hey man, I'm considering retiring over there. Yeah. I want to come visit. I want to go to the World Game Fowl Expo, or I want to go to the Araneta Coliseum.
Sure.
And I know you got a ton of questions every day.
Even when we stopped doing the show, I still had people asking about stuff
moving
like that.
Here.
Sure.
And that sort
even
of
not
stuff.
Even moving. Just the visit,
Yeah.
What should I expect? What should I, how much money, that type of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and those are all, hey, when I came, I wish I had known what it was going to,
They didn't have us to give them the cheat sheet.
No, I got baptized by fire.
Notes,
yeah, exactly. Guys, you can find us on YouTube at Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. You can find us on Facebook at Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World, and that's A&D spelled out. You can catch us there. You can also email us if you guys got show suggestions or hopefully not too much criticism.
we got pretty tough skin.
Yeah,
now. The
we
whole
do.
Show, we got beat up quite a bit.
We do. And it's like that in the game file world. It's
Yeah.
guys don't hold back what they think. But
Yeah.
guys, you're welcome to tell us
Questions.
questions, and what you think would make the show better or whatever. You can reach us at Bruce and Big Mike at gmail.com. That's Bruce and Big Mike at gmail.com. So you can catch us down there. Now, Big Mike, we've kind of already done the rundown of the show of what we're gonna be doing. Let's talk about just a little bit about why the switch, because I get questions all the times about guys used to do shows on roosters and on raising chickens and why did you switch? From my perspective, the show, I wanted to go out on top with the show. We ran 5 years, and that is
solid
and
years.
and 250 plus episodes of a podcast that we made, that there was money coming in on. It was supporting itself, and so that's a tough gig to do 5 years in a row.
Well, yeah, and the way, and like I said in the opening of this show, the way we do things is different. We don't like this. We've already had how many meetings about what we're going to talk about?
I think it's the third meeting this
That's
week
right.
about this show.
That's right. So the way we do things, and not be repetitive, not talk about the same thing over and over again. But well, for me, it's not that I was glad to see the show go, but talking about game foul with a lot of our audience was American. It kind of put, we were always having problems with Facebook, and I just thought that you and I, once I realized, about 2 years into it, I was like, man, this guy could talk about anything, and I said, but I was just cutting my teeth on it, just starting to learn how to do everything, getting comfortable speaking in front of a camera and a microphone, and then we were doing it live, and when you do something live, I finally got comfortable doing that, and I always thought that there was just something me and you could do that's bigger than that, and get to a lot more ears, and now eyes also, they'll be seeing us live.
And this show isn't just the take on the world. We actually literally mean that, taking on the world. We're going to take on every subject. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about
other places to see that we haven't been to.
Family life, faith-based stuff. The difference. The Philippines is a Catholic nation, 85% or so, and so there's a lot of traditions here and things that if you're coming here or visiting here that you may not be used to.
I saw a new one the other day.
What was that?
Up at the farm. All our neighbors up there were, because everybody's related, so they were all, even the guy from our farm, his wife or something got dropped off in the back of a jeepney, and then this other family, they walked up, and I looked over and I seen them starting a fire, and then they all start stepping over the smoke, and I was like, what's going on? They were like, they're cleaning the spirits off with the smoke, and I was like, interesting, and never saw that one before.
There's a lot of superstitions here, and we talked about some of the superstitions in the game file world.
Colors.
There's a lot of colors and counting scales and those sort of things. So it permeates even everyday life here.
Which is cool. That's why we're here. If we wanted the vanilla life, we'd be back in the States.
Where else can you live that you have a volcano eruption once a day and an earthquake every week? There's been many times that we've been woken up out of bed, the room's shifting, the bed's shifting, so there's a lot of stuff, and of course a lot going on in the U.S. A lot of changes there. Technology, Elon Musk and all of his stuff that's happening, and new president going in office, and just a ton of stuff. So we're going to be talking about everything, and you guys be sure to email us at bruceandbigmike@gmail.com and tell us what you want to hear about. Things to consider before you come to the Philippines. Big Mike, I'll kick this off with one that we both. It's funny because a lot of our lists that once we got to comparing, we had a lot of the same things on it, because these things are important. Visit first. Visit first before you decide you're going to move here based on videos that Big Mike and I have produced, or something you read, or what some Filipino told you on Facebook and Messenger, I think it's super important that you come over here and you stay long enough, 3 or 4 weeks, long enough to get a feel for, and remember that not everything, when you come here the first time, if you're in that tourist mode, you're not going to see the everyday life of actually having to live here.
Each place is different.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a place in Beagle for 3 years, and it's totally different than here. I mean, the cultural norms are different than the cultural norms here in Cebu. So I think coming here on a visit could be even spaced out a little bit. You know, you might want to come on a few visits to really,
really, if you can afford
dip
to.
your toes. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to say, if you think about that in the money wise, it's going to save you money, because look at how much money I spent in Bicol. You know what I mean? I had a house over there and everything. I just said, you know what, this is not for me. And I pulled out and left everything, just left it. Because I said, you can always make more money. But when there's typhoons and the volcano erupted every other day, I was like, nah, that's not how I want to live my life. So if you think about how much you spend, because a lot of guys try to do things on the cheap. You know, my dad was like that. He's like, come on, let's go up to Napa and buy this part and, you know, try to fix it. And, you know, he's bought 5 or 6 different bolts and then ends up having to buy a new one any damn way, you know? So you can spend $10 now or $100 later type deal.
Yeah.
So I think that if guys, you know, what's that term they have? Delayed gratification. Everybody wants right now. They want the instant gratification.
Make all their decisions now.
That's right. If you can just dig down deep and make a plan. That's what this is mainly about, is making a plan.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody can make a plan and say, look, I'm going to go over there for this amount of time, and then, the peso.
Yeah.
Why not right now?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
58.30 today. I just looked again. 1 minute before we started, 58.30. I mean, God, when I got here, it was 40 pesos to $1. You know, and people think, oh, that's not significant. Well, if you got $1,000 a month pension coming in, that gives you an extra 1,000 pesos, right? If you do it by 40, look at that. I mean, that's an extra 18 peso or 18,000 pesos right there. A guy like me that has a pretty hefty pension, that's my house, my car payment, you know.
That'll pay your rent or
that's right.
condo rent.
I call that my stock market. You know? So if they want to come a few times, it's the best time to do it while this peso's up.
Good time to come visit. The peso was what, 58.20 this morning.
Yep.
And so, you know, it's broke 60 here recently.
Sure did.
I'm thinking Republicans back in the White House, maybe, who knows, you know. We're not endorsing anyone, but Trump.
Well, you know what I think? Well, I don't even look at his politics. I just think it's a sigh of relief. Mm-hmm. You know, people just, that's confidence. People are like, okay, maybe we can get something going.
Whether you're a Trump supporter or not, he is not a pushover. Yeah. The man's shot in the head and he gets up, fight. You know, even his critics will say, okay, Trump's not a pussy. Yeah. You know, and other leaders immediately start falling back in line. You know, Putin saying, hey, maybe we should sit down and talk about this Ukraine thing. After all, you know, whereas 6 months ago it was like, no, we're not talking anything. So Trump definitely changes the atmosphere, and so
it's a good time to travel as an American.
It is.
I mean, it really is, because right now I think, you know, Americans get a lot of I'd say salt thrown at them, you know, like a lot of hate.
Yeah.
But I've traveled all over the world, even in Iraq, they liked us, you know. Yeah. Some of them didn't, but for the most part, the people liked us, you know. So I think that it's a good time to get on a plane and go somewhere.
Well, it used to be that your American passport, years ago, your American passport protected you. Ain't nobody going to kidnap an American. Ain't nobody. I felt confidence in traveling to wherever because the Americans were the last people they wanted to mess with, because guess what? You know, your country would come after you. You know, they'd come rescue you or whatever. But then it got to where, you know, everybody hated America, and it was death to America, and burning our flag and all that shit. And even here, there's still stuff that happens or has happened in the recent past. We've talked about it, mentioned it before, about, you know, people getting kidnapped and and ending up getting killed trying to escape or whatever. So there's bad stuff that can happen, but here in Cebu where we are, unfortunately, there's not a lot of that going on.
You and I could try. We can walk out here at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
even with you on a cane.
Yeah.
We.
Hey, that's just a weapon, man. I may not even need that.
You're still not an easy mark, is what I mean.
No, I understand. That's what I'm saying.
I think that
Don't let the old man routine fool you.
I see a lot of that in the expat groups. Is it safe? And I'm like, man, you go to south side of Chicago, you're in big trouble. You make a wrong turn there. Here in Cebu, there's a few places that if you made a wrong turn there, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't recommend it at night, but chances are you'd be all right.
Yeah.
But in Southside Chicago, you make a wrong turn, you might not be all right. So I think that here is still 1,000 times more safe than anywhere else. In fact, the whole time I've been here, there's only been one. I'm talking 15 years now. There's only the one German that got. Usually it's foreigner on foreigner if something happens. If a guy gets killed, it's his buddy that he owed money to or something. But the one guy got accidentally shot. They mistook him for somebody else, and that Jollibee down police eye one time, but just doesn't, and just recently the guy at the waterfront that got into an argument, somebody else pulled up and shot him, but if he just would have got in a taxi and left, he would have been all right, so this is still the safest.
I think so, and there's places, just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, that I've turned down or turned around in the wrong lane, turned down the wrong street, and I've literally had people come to the window and say, "Hey, man, you come down the wrong road," and I'm like, "Okay, no problem. I'm just gonna," and they were selling, drugs at that house or whatever, and I just was turning around. And before I could make the turn,
wrong turn.
These three guys all standing there holding guns, saying, "Hey, man, you in the wrong neighborhood." And I'm like, "I definitely am. Yes, sir. I am in the wrong place." So it can happen anywhere, So I want to. We'll get to our sponsors here in just a second. Number 2, Big Mike, know your reason for coming. That's kind of a. You would think that would be a given, but a lot of guys come over here and they're not sure. Am I looking to move there? Am I just visiting? Am I there for the bar girls? Am I there to meet my future wife and mate? I think it's important that you kind of have at least keep an open mind, but yet have an idea.
Part of your plan should be, because 2 seconds off the plane you might get in a different lane and end up doing something totally that you didn't want to. But I think they have to have an idea, and do they want it to be a tour place? Especially it depends on if you're coming here just to plan for your future, like you want to retire here, or you're just coming here on vacation. If you're just coming here on vacation because there's different things to do, but if you have a plan to actually live here like you and I do, because we did it ass backwards.
Yep.
We everything on this list is and the trick is to make the mistakes and not go totally broke.
Not survive the sudden impact at the bottom of the building.
Well, no shit. But there was a guy just recently, I'm talking within the week or so, that on the Facebook group put in there that he's homeless, staying with a neighbor right now because the wife threw him out. And I'm like, how do guys get in this position? How does this happen? And that's why you got to have a plan before you come here, what you want to do. And like when you came here to fight chickens.
Yeah.
That's why you came here. You came here game foul.
I came for the game foul.
I kind of had a plan.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. I thought having a business with my significant other was a smart move. But I learned real quick that
it's not.
Not as Americans put too much pressure. If you're going to do a business, do it on your own. Don't involve your family here. Yeah. So, because I did all that in my first 2 weeks.
Wow.
No shit, man. I came here excited. I was in the military, so I had a bunch of money. So I was like, by the time I retire, I want to just be, have everything running on its own, And I still have a hobby farm here, something like that to keep me occupied. But I think that is a real big important thing, because when you come here, if you might get spun up on something. Like me, I didn't come here to fight game foul or anything like that, but I knew that I didn't want to live in the United States. The United States was, if I live back there, I'm still going to have to work. My pension is big,
not
big
not American
enough.
big.
That's right, not American big. You know, driving a Pinto big.
Yeah.
You know, I'm hood rich, but I ain't rich. You know, but here, I knew. But even here, it's tough now, man. This is not 1980s Philippines.
Yeah.
You know, the price of everything. My electric
really
bill
has.
this month is almost $200. You know, and that's significant. You know, people. You know, the electricity here is expensive. So, what would you say? Like if they want to have a plan before they come here, what would be one of the things they should look out for?
A lot of it is the relationship stuff.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of, of course, I came here in 2015, January 2015 on a visit. I came back, visited again in 2017 in the spring, and then in September of 2017, I moved here full time. I moved to Cebu. There was a lot of reasons why I came here originally to Cebu, but I only I lived here about 2.5 years, and ended up. I met you during that time. I ended up moving to Luzon, first Quezon province, and eventually I ended up in Cavite, and about 6 months ago decided to come back to Cebu. So I did the classic, met a woman on Facebook. And we've talked about this, we've laughed about this many times, that you have to, I'm not knocking anyone, but you have to meet the wrong Filipino the first time in order to get to, you got to get your first one mistake out of the way before you get to the next one.
You had great intentions.
Yeah.
You had great intentions.
Yeah,
you didn't come here to womanize. Like me, I didn't come here to womanize. That's the truth. I did all that when I was young.
I stayed for the womanizing. I didn't come here to Yeah. I'm looking over here at the producer getting a eye with the stink eye.
What I told even the one in Bicol, that's not why I left Bicol. I left Bicol because that environment was not what I wanted. I said, is this how I want it? And it, to be honest, it takes balls to do that, because a lot of guys will just tough it out. Yeah. And I said, this is not how I want it. There's a difference between being tough and being hard-headed. Yeah. Is that how I want to live my last years of my life? Going to an emergency evacuation site every other month. So I told Pauline the same thing before I came here. I said, look, this is what I want. I did have a plan. I told, this is what I need. This is what I need from you. This is what I need. This is what I want. And if you can do this, if you want to go to the United States, I'm not the guy. If
you were smart enough the second time around to lay your cards out on the table.
Right.
This is exactly what we're talking about. You knew what you wanted. And that's what we're saying about this whole thing coming over here. Know what you want.
Yep. Like I told her, get us a place away from your parents, away from the family, because I know here a family. But now I've also learned that the family is 90%. The women, let's say a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. You can just walk. Me and you right now.
Yep.
We could walk down the street right now. Within 10 feet, I can see a girl. And I said, hey, good afternoon. If she makes eye contact with me and says good afternoon, it doesn't mean I'm going to get her.
You can date 10 Filipinas a day.
Yeah, it just means
if you know how to talk.
That's right. That's exactly right. It doesn't mean you get one every time, but I could say good afternoon. She says good afternoon. That's when you say, are you single? Just that quick.
Yeah.
But so I knew that. I told her, I said, look, the family is 90% now, and I totally believe that. And I didn't know that at the time, even with Pauline. That's why I said, I had trouble with the other family, always asking for money. So I said, I don't want to live near your family. Where here, it's the total opposite. Pauline's family's never asked me for a peso. They never asked for nothing. Even when their father died, I gave money, but they never asked. So prior to know, there's no way to know all that. You can ask her these questions. You can, but you have to know things like that. You have to come here and live here for a minute. Come here on your 2 weeks, and that's what I did. I came here with Pauline. I came here the first time in June for 2 weeks, and then I came back in October, I came back again in October. Then I retired in November, so I went back to the States and then came back after 2 weeks. So in that year, I had come here a few times,
Yeah.
you know, and sort of scoped out
Well,
everything.
I suggest everybody stay, and we'll get into talking about visa and that sort of thing a little later in the show, but I suggest everybody stay a month. You can stay here 30
Yeah.
days without having to do a visa renewal,
Yeah.
pay that extra $30 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I suggest 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, one, because the trip is so hard.
Yeah, it takes 5 or 6 days to get your
to get over
sea
to
legs
get your
going.
bearing back and everything, and then of course we're going to talk about food and culture and all those things. I want to mention our sponsors in here before we're going to go to a commercial break. But wetspot.ph, it's an online adult toy store. You can go to wetspot.ph and you'll see the commercial here in just a minute, and you can check them out for all your adult toy needs. Also, we're broadcasting our location sponsor here throughout the this every week at our podcast. We're going to be doing them here most of the time. Now, we're going to do some stuff outside of here, take you to some places with us on Cebu, maybe go on some remote stuff. But our home, where we live and where we do this, is the Skydeck 360 here in Grand Residence, Skydeck 360 Bar and Restaurant. And we'll show you a little bit of the footage right here of the place. We did with New Year's Eve here, Big Mike. April and I were here for New Year's Eve, and some amazing fireworks.
Yep.
And some just a really great. It's really great food. It's affordable. There's no better view than right here, anywhere. And on New Year's Eve, the fireworks here was amazing because you've got a 360-degree panoramic view of Cebu. And I've never seen any place do fireworks like the entire city was
it's
part
different than
of
the States.
Yeah, the entire
where
city
down
was
the road might pop off a few of the big ones, you know, the cannon ones or whatever. But it's not like here. It is different.
No, the fireworks were, the entire city was doing fireworks everywhere. It's just an amazing thing, and glad we got to put a little bit of that footage up there for you. But guys, we're going to take a quick break, and Big Mike and I will be right back after this message from our sponsor.
Welcome to wetspot.ph, where your fantasies meet reality. Whether you're exploring on your own or turning up the heat with a partner, we have perfect toys to satisfy your every desire. Our mission? To bring you the finest adult toys at prices that make pleasure affordable. Every item is designed for comfort, excitement, and that ooh wow moment. Add a little spice to your nights or rediscover the thrill you've been missing. And yes, we will keep your secrets. Our shipping is always 100% discreet. Why wait? Your deepest desires are just a click away. Visit www.wetspot.ph today and let the adventure begin.
Welcome back into the show, guys. I am Douglas Bruce along with Big Mike Fisher. We are Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. Welcome into our podcast. Good to have everybody joining us again. You know, before the commercial break, Mike, we'd been talking about things to consider before you come to the Philippines. There's a lot to it, even air flights and stuff like that. We'll get to that in just a minute. I want to mention real quick, you can find us guys on YouTube, Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. Also on Facebook, Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. And if you'd like to email us, you can email us and give us your ideas, information, whatever. You know, Mike and I got pretty thick skin, so you know, if you don't like our hair color, you can say something about that as well. And it's funny because I shaved my head after we did all the stuff for the show, so some of the stuff shows me with my white mane of hair there, but I shaved my head the other day, so we may get around to changing that, or I'll just let my hair grow out, one of the two. So doesn't matter. But you guys can email us at Bruce and Big Mike, AND Big Mike at gmail.com. bruceandbigmike@gmail.com. I want to give some stats here, Big Mike, before we jump too far.
I like stats. I'm a military guy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm a, and everything is variable. I try to keep an open mind on stuff, but I like that statistics. Being in the broadcast television for 30 years, time is an important thing.
Yeah.
You can't get any time back. Stats are important.
Sure.
Ratings, ad prices, value, all those things, bonus value, all that stuff is real important to people in broadcasting. And so 30 years of doing that, you get to where you look at the daily.
Yeah.
As a television executive, you look at the numbers every morning. You want that report on your desk.
Like me checking
How do we
the
do in the
peso.
over? Yep, checking the peso.
Check all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I've even waited to convert my money
same here.
until it went
Same
up.
here.
It's popping 60, baby. I'm converting. To hell with this 47 stuff. I'm waiting for 60. Tourism last year. I looked up last year tourism in the Philippines. It was down a little bit. They were targeting 7.7 million visitors, and they actually got 5.6 million tourist visitors in the Philippines last year, which is still nice for
Well, I know just from walking around, like we were at IT Park the other night eating dinner. There's a lot of tourists, right? I mean, you would have to say, okay, I consider everybody, any foreigner I see, I consider them a
Yeah.
tourist, because even if you're a permanent resident or whatever, you're just not from here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's just so many people now. I mean, it's not, when I first got here, I used to be one of the only white guys around
Yeah.
for a while,
It was that way when I lived in Quezon Province. I was the
Yeah.
only white guy in town,
Yeah, I remember when I went there to visit you before, I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, we're really the only white dudes in town right now.
And and the rarer you are, the better your white privilege card works.
That's
The less white guys are around to ruin it for all the rest
That's
of us.
right.
Yeah, the easier your white privilege card.
Sure.
And the Philippines is the only country in the world where you can actually use your white
Yeah,
privilege.
being white is a good thing.
We talk about that throughout the shows over the years, but the first quarter of 2024, there was 1.4 million tourist visitors. Now those numbers include Filipinos that are residents abroad but come home, like.
Oh yeah, vacation.
Yeah, come home on
OFWs
vacation,
coming home,
OFWs, yeah. And so 1.4 million tourists in the first quarter of last year. 1 million of those was to Cebu. Only 400,000 the rest of that. You would think somewhere like Boracay or Palawan or
Well, they have to come here first. You know what I mean? If they could go to Manila first and then fly out from there, but I think this is
but their
a good
tourist
jump off.
destination, their where they put down on their entry
Sure.
stuff and all that. Their purpose was going to Cebu. 1.4 million.
Well, I knew just in December
1 million of those.
our roads got so much busier.
yeah.
So I said, yeah, that does not surprise me at all. I mean, I know just by having boots on the ground, when I look around, like there's more people here right now.
Well, I think that the reason like I said, 5.6 million tourists came to the Philippines last year.
1 million.
The 7.7 was the tourist the Philippine Tourist Organization's target. I think they missed it probably based on the U.S. economy.
Oh yeah.
Of course, that affects the world
Yeah,
economy, but
sure.
of that group, 54, and this surprised me because I expected it to be a lot higher. 54% were men. 54% of the visitors to the Philippines. The other were women.
Well,
So-
it's almost 50-50 if you look at it like that. 54% is not.
I expected
It's not
it to
a
be
big difference.
I
You think there's
expected
more
it to
men.
be a lot more men here because
I see a lot of. Well, okay, you got to look at the Filipino women that Look how many OFWs work abroad and then
That's
come back
true.
every year.
That's true.
So that right there,
That would run
there's-
that number up
Yeah, I
some.
would think more women.
I think there's more women working abroad here
Yeah.
than there are men. There's a lot
But-
more jobs for them.
I see a lot more foreign women now walking around than I ever did.
I've actually run into American women here, which the first 5 years I lived here, I never saw.
Even my kids go, Dad, look, a white woman.
A white woman, you just don't see them here that often before. But now you're seeing Brits, Norwegians, Europeans. You're starting to see more and more white women. I guess as the country is becoming more modernized,
Yeah.
you know, like IT Park is as
Oh, yeah,
modern as any place in the
that's
world.
right.
You know, this place,
Yeah.
super
Sure.
modern. The top destinations here in Cebu. We'll just do this right quick. What's the name of the falls? Kawasan Falls, Mole Bowl. Here in Cebu, around the Cebu city, you've got Magellan's Cross, Fort San Pedro, Lapu Lapu Shrine. Those are the most visited tourist places. I would have thought that Mango Avenue would have been the most
Number 2.
yeah,
No!
I see a Howling Dog,
Yeah.
Jane's Bikini Bar, and just the top destinations
Yeah.
that one would think, but no, those are some
Well,
of the
those
top.
are the places you mentioned are the places that when people come here that I know, when you came here to visit, before you decided to make your move here, you know,
Yeah. My first trip, yeah.
we jumped in a truck and went down south and went to all those places, you know. It took you guys to see the whale sharks. Then we were going to stop
Yep.
at Kawasan, but we pushed through and went up to
the water
Malboa.
was
That's right.
low.
That's right. That's during the drought. So there was no water at the Kawasan Falls. So we pushed through and went to Moalboa. So we took you to all those spots.
Yes, yeah.
And they are I mean, swimming with the whale sharks, you know, that's a once in a lifetime deal.
Yeah, it really is. It's an amazing. I got to you and since I'm on a cane, I don't swim so well, but anymore. But April and you and the kids all went. Yeah,
Vincent.
Vincent
Yeah.
did the whale shark thing, and then got to swim with the tuna and the sea turtles and all that. All that was really amazing. I know April enjoyed all of that. We mentioned buying a ticket, Big Mike. There's some things that you need to know when you buy. You're kind of forced to do something. It's kind of unexpected when you go to buy a ticket to come over here, and I'll let you tell them what that is.
Well, yeah, you have to have a round trip, or at least a proof of an exit ticket
That you're either going round trip back to where you came from, or you're leaving the country going to another country.
And if you're not going back to where, if you want to come here and stay longer than a month, what I used to do was just buy a ticket to Singapore. I knew I was staying 3 years.
Yeah.
So I would come before I left. I would buy my ticket to here, and then I would buy a one-way ticket from here to Singapore. And back then, I think it was only 2,500 pesos, maybe. I didn't
About
have
$50.
That's right, $50.
45,
So,
$50.
but now people will do this other thing where they pay a little bit more for a ticket, and then it's a refundable ticket.
Yeah.
But $50. I think I lost less than what they would have, and then there's also a thing now where they can go online and book. You can book an exit ticket, but it's like they book you a flight, but then they'll remove it for you on the day you want it removed.
Yeah.
So you'll still spend like $20 or something like that to get a ticket like that. But you have to have, and it's not the immigration that checks that. It's the airline
At the airport.
Yeah, when they check to not even let you on the plane if you don't have one.
If you don't have it. Yes. So, guys, if you're coming here to visit, will have to have a return ticket. There's things you can do around it, but that is the rule. When you're making accommodations here for any of these guys that are coming here to visit, on just a visit, hotel or B&B, bread and breakfast, or
Airbnb.
how do you go about? What would you recommend? Where would you recommend they stay?
Well, man, I've had a few screw ups even recently.
Oh, yeah.
Because what they're doing now is you can't go by. I used to just look at the reviews on Agoda. And I travel a lot 'cause I have to go to Manila twice a year. I go to Thailand once a year. So I fly around quite a bit, and I used to just look at Agoda and pick one that had the good reviews. It was in my price range, and that was good. There's different types. They're putting fake reviews up, is what's happening.
Yeah.
And it really screws up your thing. But the ones you want to look out for is in the pictures. If you see like the garage doors, those are the short time hotels.
Yeah.
So if it's 500
That's the
pesos,
by the
it's too
hour.
good to be true.
Yeah.
Those are per hour. Don't go to that. Don't pick that one. But here in Cebu, we have a lot of good hotels. Bai Hotel, I've been in there. It's really nice. The waterfront. Those are a bit of high end. You know, you're looking at 5,000 pesos a night, $100.
Yeah.
You know, but I've stayed at a bunch of hotels for 1,500 that are good.
Well, they like the Grand Residence here. They've got condos, but and full-time residents, but they also have hotel rooms that they rent out.
So this place here has hotel rooms also.
Hotel rooms as well. They're actually building, or they're renovating the Noble Hotel, which is connected to this building.
Okay.
It's just on the other side of it. It's connected to it, and they're renovating that, and it looks like it's going to be another couple
And this
of
is
years.
essentially located.
Yeah, yeah.
What's that Castle Peak right across the street here?
Yeah.
And you think that's the main thing that I was going to say to people. The main thing is the location.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not going to spend a whole heck of a lot of time in your hotel. Have it a decent place to sleep. But the main thing is the location. Just in the middle of the city, I think, is the best. Easier to get rides.
It is.
If you stay in Liluan, you know, you have a hard time getting rides.
Well, you can get, it's like, you know, rent is cheap in Lapu-Lapu. The hotel rooms are less expensive in Lapu-Lapu. But getting back to Cebu City across, you know, it's an hour's ride in a
That's
taxi.
right. Sure.
You know, I've stayed there at the Marco Polo, and I've had opportunity to rent a condo there and all of that, and we passed on it because the situation was great. The condo's great. Marco Polo's got one of the top restaurants in town, but the thing with them was it's 20-30 minutes to get
north
to town. You know,
that's right.
It's you know,
I go there on my way to the farm. I pass
on
that.
the edge of the mountain there. The Castle Peak is one here that I've stayed in. It's decent. They got a good restaurant. The Sarosa, I've spent about 2 months in the Sarosa, all total over the last 10 years that I've been coming to the Philippines. I've stayed there. They had me there for an entire month back in 2014, and so it's
Well, I think
doable.
people try to save money, and they book 1,000 peso hotel, and then they're spending 2,000 pesos a day on rides.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're in the middle of the city, you don't have to spend all the money on the rides.
It's tough to find anything, you know, less than 2,000 pesos, unless you're just staying in the
that's right.
in the not the top tier part of the city or situation. There's a lot of little hotels you could get that are decent, I'm sure, that are clean but the Airbnb, if you're going to come here and stay for 3 weeks or a month or even a couple of weeks, I would book you can rent a condo through an agency or once you contact the agency, make sure you contact the owner, because what happens is the agency may be renting you a bill of goods, and when you get there, it's going to be you and the owner that tries to sort it out. And so if the agency says one thing and then you get there and the owner's like, I don't know what you're talking about, that becomes a situation. So you always want to talk before you sign the deal and pay the money, make sure you talk to the owner, and they'll usually do that. You know, you can use stuff like Booking.com, but even at that, I suggest you talk to the owner at some point before you sign anything or send any money, because there are scams on there. There are scams on these agencies doing this stuff. Winging it, I don't suggest it. I don't suggest you come here and
try to find a place here.
Once you get here, try to figure it out for yourself.
You can't do that.
You need a headquarters to operate out of. You know,
at least book it for 2 days ahead of time. And then if you get mobile, but really, how are you going to go look for a hotel here? You know what I mean? You wouldn't know where to go.
No, I would suggest that you can always, the thing is, and April and I have stayed in a ton of them over the past few years, is you can always cancel.
Yeah.
You know, you book it for, 3 weeks, and then you just, after a few days, you cancel the thing and go to a
That's what I started doing even in Thailand.
Yeah.
Because what I do is I book it for 3 days, because you can't go off the reviews. So we go there, if we like it, we extend.
90% of the time, they're the ones writing the reviews.
Yeah, so if I get there and I like it, I extend. If I don't like it, at least when I'm there, I can go look at the other ones. You know, I can get in a Grab. I can grab a Grab car and go for 100 baht or something, 100 pesos, and look at the room ahead of time. Whereas when you're in the States, you're at the mercy. So when you're in the States, book it for a couple of days, get here. Then if you want to find something better, you're at least mobile.
Yeah, and there's plenty of places to stay here. There's plenty of decent places, and you can find them. You know, there's
If it's not good, it won't last.
Yeah.
There was a hotel that near our place that just went out of business. I used to drive by there all the time. It was brand new. But I said, man, why would they put a hotel in this location? People can't get a ride. And now the other day we drove by and they were like, Dad, look, they're tearing it. And I looked like, oh yeah, they're taking everything out of there. It didn't last. So that's one thing about here. Competition is so tough. You know, it's tough. Just like even in the condo market right now, it's tough. So if they're not providing a good service, it's not going to last.
Yeah.
So chances are you get something good. The main thing is your location.
You had mentioned earlier about before the show, we talked about have yourself a base location, but visit everywhere.
Yeah.
Talk a little more about that.
Well, even here in Cebu, one neighborhood to the next,
Very different.
Yeah, I lived in Liloan for 8 years, and I loved Liloan. The only thing that got me away from Liloan was the traffic of getting to the city. I have 3 kids. If you have to go to, a trip to the hospital.
I lived in Luan as well. That's
right. A trip to the hospital will take you 2 hours, and then that's there. Then you got to go back home. You're talking 4 or 5 hour round trip, 6 hour when with your time in the hospital. So what I try to, and people take it wrong sometimes, because when you type a suggestion in a Facebook group, you don't have an emotion there. You can't it's
can't
hard
hear the tone of their voice.
That's right. You can't explain it because I tell people, when you pick something, you have to pick where you can just walk down and flag a taxi. If you get a hotel that's on a side street, well, now we have access. Now you can just do Grab here. You can do online apps. But if you don't have a cell phone for here for the first couple of days, you don't have, and you only have Wi-Fi.
Don't have a Filipino phone.
That's right. You got to go out here and flag a taxi. So you got to get somewhere that's close. You lived in a bunch of places. You lived Talisay, Lapu-Lapu.
Yeah.
Each place is different. Lapu-Lapu, the traffic out of there. That's why the house, like you said, that's why the houses are cheap, because it's tough.
Hard to get in.
That's right. I live in Mandaue. Mandaue is centrally located. Everything is right, within 1-2 meters. You can get anything you want. We got everything is right there. I'm close to SM Mall, and so if I'm coming here as a tourist, I would want to live close to Mango. You know what I mean? If I'm a tourist, if I'm a single guy and I'm coming here as a tourist, and I'm not talking about bar girls. What I'm talking about is just the people. The clubs are there. You can go out, have a beer. The bars are there.
Meet a lot of people.
That's right. So
Horizon 101 is a good option over there. You got
right.
it's the tallest condo in Cebu. It's a good option. We're not too far from there.
No,
here it's a short taxi ride, 10 minutes or whatever.
So if I'm coming here, if I'm coming here and I'm thinking about retirement, and I want to live here, I still want to be centrally located, because I want to be able to catch a ride. Like, let's say if I'm going to check out some houses, not that I'm going to put money on them or anything, but I want to look and see what's available. I'm going to hire a guy and say, hey, take me to these places and let me look at these. And just so you scope it out and see, like, go to there. Because Talisay, houses are cheap in Talisay too, but man, that's 2 hours down the road.
Yeah, it's a bad deal to be that far away.
That's right. And Talisay,
Minglanilla. You see a lot of houses and you're like, this is a great to buy, great to.
Yep. Yeah. And Minglanilla is a good place, like a quiet town. Some guys like stuff. Okay?
Yeah. If you don't want to ever come to town,
right. That's what I was just going to say.
If you're not doing business and you don't need to come to town but once a month.
Me and you being in a place like that. Well, you were. That's why you left.
Like that.
That's right. That's why you left there. So my wife always says, even during the pandemic, she's like, you got ants in your feet. That's what we call that, when you can't just stay still. You got to be moving. So for me, I use this term, I'm a city boy with country boy tendencies.
Yeah.
That's why I have my farm in the mountain. I live in the city, but I like to be able to go and visit the mountain. So when you come here, you want to scope things out. If you're like that, you want to have a condo here and then maybe a place you can go to on the weekend up in the mountain.
Yeah.
So when you come here, don't make hasty decisions. On your first trip here, don't put money on nothing.
Yeah.
Because
don't well, we'll get into the don'ts here in just a little bit, but you're right. Not putting, don't commit to anything. Your first visit here, you can always go home and think about it and wait for the fallout you know, wait to see what happens a little bit.
For me,
because it ain't going away. It's been here a long time.
I think you got the best of everything here. You know, I thought IT Park was good. You know, and I told you IT Park is good, but then
it didn't
your
work for me
type of
because
guy-
of too much walking.
yeah, for you it didn't work. And but IT Park is still good. But the thing is, you got everything here, but you're also close to IT Park.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you're a taxi right away, 100 pesos.
Yeah,
To IT Park, and you could
It's
be there.
less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, so for $2 you can be there. So now I recalibrated my. If I'm a guy coming here and I want to have a place in Cebu, this is it.
Yeah.
I think this place right here is centrally located. You're off the busy street, so it's not loud. Now, guys come here and want to live in the province. You know, they talk about that all the time.
Or they want to live over on Mactan on the beach.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of guys. There's a whole community over there,
Sure.
foreigners. You know.
Me personally, I think foreigners. Now, that's the only thing I about here. I've always had this thing even when I met you the first time, I was like, should I go say something? Because you had the rooster on your hat, and I was like,
Yeah.
you know, because I have this thing, man. Nothing good ever comes from it, you know. You meet foreigners, you know. But so if I want to live in a province, I'm going to go and visit that place down south.
Yeah.
And see what you're going to have to deal with down there, because in the province, there's the ambulance. Imagine if you got hurt down there, you know, and your age. If you're over 60, you're kind of behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
Where you want to live, because
So
medical down there is tough.
So the question is kind of the age-old question of location.
That's right.
That kind of, you know, whatever meets your needs. So, you know, you'll get a chance to look around when you're here and kind of get a feel for what you want. That's why visiting here, you know, for 3 or 4 weeks, the first go around.
I love Moal down there. And we thought about getting a place down there too. But like I told my wife, I said, you can just rent a place for 2,000 pesos a night, and you don't have to do any maintenance on it. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
live up here and go down to visit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. What about the food here? That's something that people always, you know, that people always sometimes. Once they're here, they realize it, but a lot of times they don't think of before they come. Now, there is, especially in some place like Cebu, you can get pretty much anything you want. You've got, you know, the Roadhouse. You got Texas.
TGI Friday.
Yeah, TGI Fridays, Texas Roadhouse. You got a lot of options. We've been to like Olive Garden, you know, in the Philippines. Of course, you got all the only chain they don't have here in Cebu is Wendy's. That's the only thing I
Yeah,
can't
they have it
find.
in Manila.
Yeah, Manila, we got Wendy's everywhere, but you can't. There's no Wendy's here. But you got Burger King, you got McDonald's. Of course, you got you know, Jollibee, which is a Filipino version of McDonald's.
Yeah.
You've got cropping up a few Mexican places now here, and so there's some options, and there's some, if you're a little food adventurous, man, Filipino cuisine is some of the best in the world. But Balut. Now we'll get to Balut.
But you know, I'll tell you something. There's a lot of people that complain about the food here.
Yeah.
A lot of the foreigners. That's why I put that in there. You know,
Mark Kelly, our friend Mark Kelly.
Yeah, that's right.
Doesn't eat seafood, doesn't care for vegetables.
No, man.
You know, I'm
He's
like,
a
what
chili and
the
hot
hell
dog.
are you gonna
Came all
live
around
on?
the world
bro?
is still eats mac and cheese all the time.
I love the guy, but
Yeah.
I don't see how he keeps from starving to death.
But
here.
you know, when you come here, that's what I mean. Don't just go to McDonald's. You go out because at a certain point you'd be sick. Like yesterday, I asked my kids, "Do you guys want to go to Burger King?" They were like, "We're tired of Burger King. Can we go to McDonald's?" And I said, "Well, yeah, we could go over this other place too, but then there's no parking right now." So we went to McDonald's. So these guys, if they're American, when they come here, they're going to get sick of it real quick. So they have to try other things to see what they like. Now, me personally, I was around Filipinos my whole life. My dad was in the military.
Yeah.
My first wife was Filipino.
You were kind of.
Yeah.
You were introduced to the culture prior to that.
That's right.
Now imagine me, I'd had the only Filipino I knew I got to fight with. That was the only Filipino that I'd ever met in my entire life in school, all the way up until coming here, and I had no idea. I didn't plan on coming here. I was brought here because of the game fowl situation, because of bringing Mike Ratliff over here, and so you know, it was great.
Well,
culture
what did you
shock.
think of the food when you first tried it? Like their local food.
I liked it because I'm a person that can pretty much eat anything.
Yeah, me too.
You know, April was mentioning balut a minute ago. No, I don't eat balut, but as far as everything from, you know, the black ink squid to, you know, to all the tinola, sisig, all of that. You know, I would probably eat Adidas, which is chicken feet. I would probably be okay with eating
The longer
like
I'm here,
isao,
the more adventurous I've got.
the intestines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. The longer I'm here, you know, I don't always want to watch them prepare it, but
And the hungrier I get if I'm driving down the road.
Yeah.
Shit, I will eat a damn.
but
Adidas
like
if
the
that's all I
pork,
got there.
the pork here, the baboy lechon, the skewers, like they sell on the side of the road, what they call the points.
Yeah.
You know,
Pork barbecue stuff.
yeah, the pork barbecue stuff, all amazing. We had
Chicken intestines.
we had chooks to go last night, which is baked chicken.
Yeah.
It was a very popular baked chicken chain here. So the baked chicken is delicious. It's really good. Getting used to now. Hygienically, the Filipinos are the cleanest people in the world. Absolutely the clean.
Yes, I agree.
You know,
you walk on the city bus, everybody smells like
never
shampoo. And it's like
they are clean.
Yeah.
But like in the market, when you go to the market and the meat hanging out, if you're an American and you're coming from that culture, you may think, okay, this is bad. You know, this is a bad situation. I personally have come to the conclusion that we have so sanitized everything in America that we're killing people with preservatives and some of the measures that they take to.
I eat meat that just, you don't know how long it's been. Like it's gotten. I'm a corpsman, retired Navy corpsman, so food sanitation was my. You know, when I go for promotion, that's all the tests were like food sanitation. So I used to, when I first got here, I'd see them leaving chicken out on tables. Like, we're gonna die. What are you doing? Now I come in the house.
Well, they don't have. A lot of people don't, especially your average Filipino does not have refrigeration. You know, the first time I walked in someplace and saw mayonnaise setting out or ketchup sitting out, I was like,
no, I don't even
throw that out.
That's right. I don't even put it. You're right. I was the same damn way. Like, who left this out? And my wife's like, that's how we do it here. I was like, really? Oh, okay, so I'll try it, you know, but my gut got strong. I don't get sick like that.
Well, no, and eggs is another thing. America, we wash the eggs and refrigerate them. Here, they don't wash them, nor do they refrigerate.
You know what I do now, though? I have this habit of picking up the egg and I smell it.
Yeah.
That's what I do, because I'm the one who cooks in the morning.
I put it in water to see if it goes to the bottom. If it goes to the bottom, it's good. If it floats at all, if it stands up or it floats, it's bad. It's rotten. So
I just pick them up.
I check the eggs.
Smell, it's good.
Yeah. I just smell them, you know, because that's what my wife always did. And then I just smell it. You know, that's my habit. It's funny because you don't know how long it's been sitting at the market because they don't refrigerate.
Oh, we're
stuff.
real careful. She does a good job of finding a place. Like she uses one of these street vendors to buy eggs. She won't buy it at the market because they're old when you use them.
Don't buy it in the grocery anymore.
Don't buy them at the grocery anymore. She buys them at the market because they get them there fresh and they turn them over really fast. Now, guys, send us a message. You can comment here in the comment or send us a message if you've been to the Philippines or you've thought about coming here. What are some of the food things that you tried or that you would be afraid to try here? We talked about balut, of course, that being the duck egg that is fermented for like depending on the type, but anywhere from 14 to.
I don't think it's for. I think what they do is they incubate and they take it out at a certain day.
Yeah, they do. It's not really fermented. It's I put them in the ground or put them in an incubator for a certain amount of time, and they actually develop the chick inside.
Yeah.
And so it definitely is an acquired taste. Big Mike has eaten balut before. My son Desmond has eaten balut when he was here. I will stick with not. So it'll take losing one hell of a bet to get me to eat balut. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break right here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about culture shock. We're trying and get that in. We're running out of time here on the show, but we're going to try and talk about culture shock. What to expect, a little bit of give you a little bit of insight in what you'll see when you first come here, and maybe some of the pitfalls, and also the don'ts. We've talked about a lot of the do's. We're going to mention, because there's a whole show where the don'ts to do, but we're going to mention a couple of the don'ts to get in there. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Welcome to wetspot.ph, where your fantasies meet reality. Whether you're exploring on your own or turning up the heat with a partner, we have perfect toys to satisfy your every desire. Our mission? To bring you the finest adult toys at prices that make pleasure affordable. Every item is designed for comfort, excitement, and that ooh wow moment. Add a little spice to your nights or rediscover the thrill you've been missing. And yes, we will keep your secrets. Our shipping is always 100% discreet. Why wait? Your deepest desires are just a click away. Visit www.wetspot.ph today and let the adventure begin.
Hey guys, welcome back into the show. Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. I'm Douglas Bruce, along with my co-host and wingman extraordinaire, Big Mike Fisher. Guys, we're coming to you from Cebu in the Philippines, and we're talking about the different things of coming here, what to expect, what not to expect. Kind of get that sorted out with you. We're just giving you a kind of a brief overview of everything and going through some things as we go along with these episodes. I'm sure we'll do other shows on coming to the Philippines, but we wanted to get this one in right up here up front. We're broadcasting here from the Sky Deck 360 here on top of we're on I think the 42nd floor somewhere. We're on the roof of the Grand Residence Hotel here in Cebu, and right in the middle of downtown Cebu. And it's a great location to broadcast from. Earlier we saw some of the footage from New Year's Eve here, and the food is always good. The atmosphere is great, and the view is unbelievable. Just an absolute great view that we have here from the 360. We're also brought to you by wetspot.com for all your adult toy needs. If you're interested in adult toys, you can check it out at wetspot.com. Big Mike, we're talking about culture shock and what to expect. Culture shock can be a real thing. I mean, I experienced it, and you're not going to get over it in a week or two. I mean, it took me a couple of years to actually get
toned down.
That's a good term. Yeah, good term. To all of it, and to adjust, because this ain't Bucksnort, Tennessee. This is
There's some
guys
America that have it so easy. I have a few friends that are just, smooth dudes,
laid back, not intense.
That's right, man.
I think the intense guys like us that are perfectionists.
Yeah.
And I think the more you're revved up, the worse you're going to take it.
And I tell you, man, you got to have a good coach. Luckily, my wife's family really schooled me up on things, because I think that was one of the pitfalls I hit over there in the other place I was at. They didn't advise me, they just kind of let me run roughshod on everybody, and instead of if you have a dog, you pop the chain on them.
Yeah,
like,
you
hey,
got to teach it.
that's
You got to
right,
teach it
ease
to
up,
lead. Yeah, and that's so it's not dragging you.
And here, my wife's family here is not, they're kind of, they know how things work,
Yeah.
and they schooled me up. Don't, for you, what was the driving part is probably your toughest
That
part,
was
right?
that was a big part of it because I was driving when I was here. My legs were in better shape when I first got here, and I was driving my own vehicle, and the rules of the road, excuse me, that I learned in the U.S. driving from the time I was a kid, long before I was 16, do not apply here.
Yeah. Well,
merging traffic has the right
you
of
and
way.
I've been driving since 13 years old or 14 years old. It's a big difference. The way people get licensed here is different.
Yeah.
It's a economic thing. You don't get your license till you got enough money to buy a car. There didn't used to be loans for cars until 2014 is when they started loaning money. Nobody in my first subdivision, had cars. There's one or two people in there, and they had good jobs. They were seamen on ships and stuff. But by 2000, I was here in 2010. So 2010, 2014. In 2014, the banks opened up, and they were giving 10. You could go walk in with 10,000 pesos, $200, put money down on a car, and you could drive out with the car in 3 days. And then just paid $200 a month. So now there's so many cars, but people were older. They're 40 years old getting their license for the first time.
Yeah.
And they don't know, they didn't have their father like us, in the seat yelling at
somebody
you.
teaching you to drive when you're a kid. Yeah.
Turn your turn signal on. Don't get too close. So here, tailgating is the norm. If you don't, what happens? If you don't tailgate here, what happens?
Oh, somebody cuts in front of you.
That's right. Cut right in front of you.
Nobody gives you the leeway to slow down
My
or
mom
to
went
anticipate
batshit
traffic
crazy.
up front.
My
it drove
truck.
me
My truck has
nuts.
no nose.
Yeah.
It's a 4x4 truck. It sits up very high. It's one of the highest trucks. So you're looking right down at the road, and my mom's like, "Oh!" Every time I get up close up to, it's like, "Wait!" And I'm like, "Mom, I don't have a bumper. It's flat nose."
But even that, we leave a car length or 3 car lengths,
like a magnet.
Yeah, and somebody will, or somebody you're making a right hand turn, and you got a blind spot, and there'll be some motorcycle riding the damn space between you and the sidewalk.
Sure. Yep.
And then it's like you've committed some sin because you made your right hand turn.
But how many wrecks do you see?
Well, they don't.
They don't wreck.
Well,
we don't wreck.
They don't.
That's the crazy thing.
But I think it's because nobody gets over 30 miles an hour to wreck.
I think it's better than that. Insurance. In the States, I remember when I was a kid, my mom used to say, "Go ahead, I'll hit you. I'll get a new paint job."
Yeah.
Here, you might have to pay out of your pocket because people don't have the money to pay for cars. We have insurance, but you don't know if the insurance is going to cover you. Yeah. It's a crapshoot. So I think here we factor that in. I know I factor in when a motorcycle cuts me off. In the States, I might plow them.
Yeah.
But here, I'm like, I give them the benefit of the doubt. So that's what amazes me here. You don't see. We drive without rules, but it's pretty smooth, if you just don't overreact.
Yeah,
because
but if
Americans tend to overreact on things, take it personally.
Well,
you slighted me.
That was my next point, was intent.
Yes.
You have to think about the intent in multiple things, not just driving. I mean, everybody here goes around blowing the horn.
Yeah.
In America, that's the fuck you button.
Yeah, that's right.
If you blow the horn, it's like, hey, unless they're blowing to alert you to, in America, it's that's hey, buddy, up yours.
No, here it's talking. I'm coming on.
They're communicating
coming on
with,
the left
with the horn, and we don't do that.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that when you first get here, it's like everybody in this place hates me. I'm going to get out and whip somebody's ass.
Exactly. That was the first sit down they had with me here.
Yeah.
Because in Pico they didn't. They let me be crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm crazy Mike. It wasn't Big Mike there. It was crazy.
Crazy Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, that crazy foreigner. And now looking back, I'm like, God, when I see people posting videos of these guys, I'm like, good God, thank God nobody videoed me, But no, the first time I went with my wife somewhere, we weren't married at the time, of course. We were on this little motorcycle we had. Somebody cut me off, and and I'm like, in the States we would fight. It's just natural. You're just gonna fight them.
Yeah.
Next day, I go to her family's house. Me and her go for a visit on a Saturday or something. Her uncle's there. He's like, Mike, we need to talk. He's like, here we don't do that, man. No, you'll be here. You'll never see people fighting on it. And he's right. I've never seen a street fight. Just in the last year or two, you're starting to see people on Facebook. But that's the whole Philippine nation. There might be one video every once in a while of two guys fighting in the street.
Yeah.
You just don't see it.
It's
There's
different. It's
no
different.
road rage like that.
You know, intent also like stepping in front of you in line or getting too close, no personal space. You know, in America, we've got this 3-foot thing,
That's
and
right, man.
if somebody's little kid, you're standing in a grocery line, and the kid gets over in your space, and mama will grab him by the back.
That's
Get off that man! Come on back here. You know,
Yeah.
settle your ass down. Here, it's not like that, and
Well, because we don't want to inconvenience anybody
Yeah.
in the States.
Yeah.
Whereas here,
exactly, they don't think about that here. You know, you got to
it's what
remember.
I need right now.
Yeah, you got to remember that there's 11 people living in a house, so they're used to being piled on top of each other.
That's right.
You know,
No personal space.
There was an incident the other day. April was talking about a guy that a black guy here, obviously a foreigner, was going off because he was in a pharmacy and he was like, "These people are get these people up off." He's telling the guard, "Get these people off me, man! The people, you know, standing too close to me." He was going off over the fact that people were all up on top of it, and as Americans, we're not used to that. That's a form of disrespect.
Yeah.
Cutting in front of someone in line. I didn't get over that. Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
still get you punched in the head.
Yeah.
You know, I will quickly say something to people, but it happens here all the time because
But it's a cultural norm.
it's a cultural norm
Now,
here.
My wife told me this. I said, "Is it okay if you'll do it?" She said, "No, but it's not wrong for them to try. You can say something like, hey, we're waiting in line." Then, okay, they'll go back. But it's normal for them to try.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, it's not something
Well,
that should lead to violence.
It's also a norm for me to embarrass your ass, give you a royal chewing out, and
They don't hold doors either.
yeah.
You
No,
know, when you
no.
go out of a thing,
they'll slam it right on
now-
your head.
people are very receptive. If I hold a door, they say thank you, but it's not required. You know, it's not required. We're getting rained
We're
out.
getting rained on. We need to move this over, babe. We only got like 5 minutes left. Like there's so much in the differences in the culture here, and like you're saying, you know, some of the things you can't do is like you can't punch somebody in the face here. They'll-
right.
or even I was reading
You
some
can't
of
say the F word. It's
No.
illegal to say the F word or to flip somebody off. You give somebody, they call it the dirty finger.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
even the president before he's called the dirty finger. You give somebody the dirty finger, but yeah, there's certain quirks here. You know, it's okay to pee anywhere on the side of the road.
Yep.
You can, you know, that's what I always tell my kids. They're like, "Dad, I gotta pee." I'm like, "Go ahead, you're Filipino."
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's allowed.
Now me, if I pee, it's
Yeah.
different because they're gonna look because they want to see if it's white.
Yeah, yeah.
At least that's what my brother-in-law said. I was like, "Why are they looking at me?" He's like, "They want to see if it's white."
Yep. Yeah, I've experienced that as well. But one of the things it's actually on the visa site, on the immigration site, I was looking at earlier today, is that you can't say derogatory marks towards Filipinos. You can't talk about the people or the culture. You can't insult their culture or the traditions here. I mean, there was some pretty strict stuff that'll all get you instantly kicked out of here, and you can't disrespect Filipino people here.
Yeah.
You know, as much as you'd like to strangle the shit out of somebody for some of the things they've done, you can't do that. I want to mention right quick, you guys may see a notice or notice a little bit of difference. We actually had to move locations because we were getting a rainstorm came in, and we were getting rained on there. Yeah, we're getting
It'll be
pelted
sunny
with
in
the rain.
5 minutes.
Well, that's
man.
one of the things
The
about here in the
tropics.
Philippines.
The
Yeah.
tropics.
Yes, this is a tropical country. So, lastly, Mike, before we wind this up, I want to talk about some of the things that you say no to. Some of the things that are don'ts when you come here. We're just going to give a quick rundown of this. We're going to do an entire show on this particular subject, but
Yeah, because we're kind of skimming over.
yeah, we're just kind of hitting the highlights here. But I
Don'ts.
you were talking earlier about don't rent anything, don't commit to anything.
Yeah.
What about guys who've got online girlfriends that want to meet them at the airport and all of that?
Well, I don't recommend that. You know, I did that, and I tell you, and it worked out eventually. I know guys like myself, because not everybody's like that. A lot of guys like to come here and do the womanize thing, different
Yeah.
women every day, which is fine. You know, to each his own, I always
Yeah.
say, you know, and I have no qualms with that. But I did all of that. You know, I was in the military 20 years, so I had them in every country, and I knew that I was tired of that. So the issue I have with having a woman waiting for you is you still don't know. You don't know if that's, you know, really what
That's
you're
who
looking
you want
for.
to be with.
And I think that's what hems up a lot of guys here.
Yeah.
They get here and they're like, wait, she looks different in person than on cam.
Yeah.
You know, or she sees you and you look different. I mean, she might say, oh, you didn't look like that on the camera. So I think that if it was me, things worked out for me. You know, I always say I got a trophy wife, and even after 3 kids, you know, so it worked out. But when I see some, and you know, I'm being very superficial here, you know. However, there's a lot to that, you know. If you get here and somebody's been lying to you, you know, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And then you have to start over again. I think now it's so much easier with the way things are set up. Like like I said, you can go to IT Park tonight and just walk around and you're liable to meet somebody.
Well, to me, online dating is, Filipinos take it more as a sport, and it's a lot of times it's a ways to a means to an income, and you know, I hate to be like this, and I'm not talking negative about anybody, but a lot of times, you know, sometimes I'll say it that way. Sometimes you're not the only guy they're talking to online.
You know, but I tell the women, okay, I've coached women. My helper got a guy now. You know, she's been with him 9 years. She used to be our helper, and I'm the one who did the profile for her because I knew she didn't want somebody that smoked, doesn't want a guy that drinks. So even on the women's side here, they could be getting the same situation. They have a website now where you can go and type in a guy's name and his picture, and all the women will look to see if that's their boyfriend too.
Yeah.
You know, he's seeing 5 or 6 girls, so it goes both ways. So I think that the online dating, there's something good for it. You know, there is something good. And I think that if a guy is good, a woman shouldn't have to ask him for money. If a guy's good and he's chatting with the girl, she has to pay the Wi-Fi, she has to pay, you know, if he doesn't want her to work, after a month or so, he's like, hey, look, you know, you're my girlfriend. You're my online girlfriend. She doesn't have to work, whatever. You can send her a little bit of money. If a woman has asked for money, to me, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
That being said, a woman should not have to ask for money because a guy, an American, out of the kindness of his heart, wants to help people. You know, so
But on the flip side, and I'll play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
On the flip side, don't be a chump.
Yeah,
Don't
of
be
course.
stupid. Do your homework. Make sure that you know, she doesn't have 2 or 3 Facebook profiles.
Yeah.
You know, do your research. Ask a lot of questions. If shit don't sound right, check it out.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that guys try to save time, you know, by having an online girlfriend, and because you're working, you get off from work, you go home, so they have a girlfriend here. So when they come here already, there's already one ready. We have a friend that did that, and he's basically lived with the woman. So I think that having a woman here on standby can work, but I would say 90% of the time it doesn't.
It doesn't. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a practice run, a dry run, because when you get here, they walk down the street. Me and Pauline one time, we were at Mango, we're driving down, this is in daylight, you know, we went to the kid's doctor appointment or something, we're driving down the road, and I looked over and I said, God, look at that young guy with that old woman, they're holding hands. This woman was so old. And the guy's head was kind of down. I was like, oh man, I bet he just arrived. That's the first time he met her in person, you know? So, unless he liked old
Well,
women.
you get here and you find out she's, you know, she's got 3 kids, and you know, nothing wrong with having a single mom. That's
Yeah.
fine. But you need to know that in advance. There's a lot of things that you need to know in advance. I would say, even if you have a girl that you like, someone that you consider you're dating, leave it at dating and not as your
total
full-time
commitment.
girlfriend, so that you can see if this is a situation you want or you
Sure.
don't want. Know the difference, Big Mike. Knowing the difference, I've seen multiple guys get here and find out that who they were talking to was a ladyboy and not a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy and not a woman.
Sure.
So,
Our helper, the guy she ended up with, came here to meet a woman and ended up not being a woman.
yeah.
He had been, sending money for like 7 months. and he gets it,
You may think that, well I know, well, be sure you know the difference. I've talked to guys here in the last couple of weeks right here at Grand Residence that have experienced that situation.
Yeah.
Thought it was a guy, I thought it was a woman, ended up being a guy. Just come here, I wouldn't propose anything. I would go back and think, hey, because if it's meant to be and it's real, a month after you get home or 2 months after you're home, it'll still be meant to be. There's a lot of stuff that you just really need to feel your way through without making any verbal commitment to anyone.
Yeah.
I know we all want to fall in love and it's forever, and
To me, this is the place to do it.
well,
No
but
language barrier.
you may feel different about the person that you're with,
Sure.
as that, because there is so much deception that goes on online dating and Facebook and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So just be careful with what you're doing. Big Mike, we're almost out of time. We want to wrap this up. I want to thank wetspot.ph. You can check it out for all your adult toy needs. I also want to thank Skydeck 360 here, bar and restaurant here on top of Grand Residences. Thank God they got an area that is covered, because we're getting pounded now with rain. And I want to thank our audience and everybody tuning in. Thank you, April Amolo, for all you do behind the scenes. Big Mike, I give you the final word here, my friend.
All right, guys, have a good one. See you next week.